In today's lesson, we're going to be taking a look at how we can write excellent introductions and always get our sign-offs right. So let's begin. First up, introductions for formal letters. Super simple. Always start with dear. Now, some important information here, although it's really useful that you're able to choose the right greeting and salutation on your own. In fact, the IELTS exam will almost always give you the opening salutation. Dear, name, madam, sir, even a business name possibly, whatever it may be. Pretty much always the IELTS question will give you this. So you don't need to worry about choosing the right salutation. Salutation is an opening greeting. And actually, it tells you whether to be formal or informal in your tone, which is pretty helpful. So IELTS does give you this. So always for formal, we'll start with dear. Now, if it's semi-formal or more informal, we'll either have hello or hi. And of course, it will be followed with a name. Hello, Brian. Hello, Mum, whatever it may be. Hi is probably about as informal as you can get. Hello is somewhere between semi-formal and informal. But again, you'll be given this pretty much always with the IELTS test. However, it's good that you know the difference between them, and who knows if things may change in the future. Okay, so that's just a quick word on this first opening salutation, but that's not the complete introduction. As you'll remember, after our opening salutation, we have an introductory sentence, our first sentence, which of course you will write. So, formal. In a formal letter, your first introduction sentence should show the aim or purpose of your letter. You can always do this. It's actually quite easy to follow the structure for our first sentence. Basically, you're going to need to know why you are writing the letter, and the question will always tell you why you are writing and what's the purpose of the letter. And here we go. Here's an example of an introductory first sentence. I am writing to tell you about the poor service I received at your restaurant. I am, no contraction, I am writing to tell you about. You can use that format quite often. And we can see here that this is going to be a letter of complaint. Okay, so for semi-formal, informal. In an informal letter, or indeed semi-formal letter, your first sentence begins with a friendly remark, generally, and just also indicates your relationship to the person. That's the most important bit. We can often start with a friendly remark, but more importantly, it's about introducing our relationship to the person, whether they're a friend, a long-lost family member, whatever it may be. Here's an example. Excuse me. It's so great to hear from you. How are you and the family these days? You can almost copy this for some introductory sentences for informal letters. It's so great to hear from you. So you're replying, how are you and the family these days? Okay, so let's go a little bit deeper. So for formal letters, we need to know why, the purpose and the aim of the letter. So we can break it down into letter types. Complaining. I'm writing to express my dissatisfaction with. So for any kind of complaining letter, you can start with this opener. Requesting information. I'm reaching out to request more information about whatever it may be. Again, you can just use that opening sentence. Super easy. Applying for something. I am submitting my application for the position of. Again, you can use that quite easily to introduce your first sentence, although if you want to be a bit more creative, you can. Inviting. I would like to invite you to. Okay, and the next 4 letter types. Expressing gratitude. I wanted to express my sincere gratitude or thanks for. Apologizing. I want to sincerely apologize for. Providing information. I am writing to inform you about the upcoming. Seeking or giving advice. I'm seeking your advice on. I'm giving you advice on. I'm writing to give you advice, whatever it may be. So that just shows you how easily you can begin your first sentence depending on the letter type. So when you get the question and you identify the purpose of the letter, here are some sentence openers that you can pretty much just copy, paste, or just write into your own first sentence. Super useful. Now, that doesn't mean you have to always stick to this exact phrasing. That's not the case, but it just gives you a great start. Okay, so for informal, we're indicating the relationship type. Sometimes it's going to be with a friendly remark to begin. We will need to be a bit more creative with this. It's not so copy and paste, but that's kind of fun to be a bit more creative as well. So let's take a look at just a couple of examples. It's been ages since we last spoke. How have you been the last few months? So this is kind of a general example of a first sentence introduction for the letter in an informal setting. It's been ages. Ages is more relaxed language. How have you been the last few months? Of course, you can change that to the last few years, the last few weeks, the last decade, whatever it may be. So this is an example of a more general, kind of easier to use overall sentence. Let's take a look at this. So here we're looking more at the purpose of the letter, even within an informal setting. I just wanted to drop you a quick message to tell you about my new job. So there I'm informing a friend, a colleague, someone I know well. I'm informing them and I'm explaining something, a new job. So that's the purpose of that letter. Let's see another example where I'm sort of being a bit more friendly and informal whilst identifying the purpose of the letter. Let's see. Hope this message finds you well. I'm reaching out to express my heartfelt thanks for your kindness last weekend. There's definitely a bit more towards the semi-formal sounding tone. And you can see here expressing thanks and gratitude. So we kind of are indicating a relationship that, we're more semi-formal, informal. That's kind of more to do with tone. And we can also identify the purpose in that first sentence, as you can see underlined in green. Okay, so there you go for introduction first sentences. But we also need to think carefully about signing off the letters. As previously discussed, the IELTS test question will normally, almost always, tell you how to begin and open your letter. Dear Sarah, hello David, whatever it may be, you will be given that. Based on that, you can think quite carefully about the tone that you will use, but also it will help you sign off in the correct manner. Dear name, that would be very formal, and therefore, yours sincerely, or kind regards. I often use sincerely. That's quite easy to use for a range of different settings. And if it's dear sir or madam, you often see this in the given question. You can end with yours faithfully. Faithfully, yours truly. And also sincerely would work for this as well. Okay, more informal. Hi name. So this is very informal. Best regards, or all the best. All the best is, I like that kind of sign off for an informal letter for sure. And finally, hello. Insert name, best wishes. Wishing you all the best. Warm regards. So this is semi-formal example here. Or possibly it could be informal as well, but it's more towards a semi-formal way. So here we can see, based on our opening salutation, we can use these sign-offs in order to make sure that we're keeping the correct tone. So it's really all about tone, this. Now, it doesn't mean to say that the list shown here is 100% what you've always got to do. You can easily use all these sign-offs and have absolutely no problems with that. But of course, there's always a little bit of movement depending on the style of writing that you have. However, this list is pretty useful for sure. Okay, so that covers everything for opening salutations, our introductory first sentence for the letters, and also just making sure we're signing off with the correct tone. I'll see you in the next lesson.